Alright, so today what I'm going to do is show you or demonstrate for you how to take a line for a walk. So really this lesson is all about how to control your pen or pencil or drawing implement, and it's really about that most basic element of art, which is the line. So you're going to get a small piece of paper first. This is a drawing paper. You're just going to get one, so if you make a mistake, you're going to erase, or you're going to use the back. You're going to flip it over. And this is your ticket. If you complete this practice well, then this is your ticket to move on to the project. So there's a couple rules for Take a Line for a Walk. You have them on your handout. And the idea, the basic overarching idea, is that we want to use a continuous line. So the line doesn't stop and start a lot. My goal is that I can have just one line for my whole paper or for my whole project. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to take my pen or pencil up. So a continuous line is once I put it down that I'm going to keep going with that line. Now, if I do stop and take a break, and I'm gonna need to, I just want to put my pen or marker right back in the same spot. So that's a continuous line. So that's kind of the number one rule. Another rule that I have on that worksheet for you is that your line does not cross over itself. So we've looked at a lot of different lines. We've looked at straight lines and zigzag lines and curvy lines. So these are all fair game because they don't cross over themselves. However, I can't do a loop-de-loo line. So that is a line that crosses over itself. I don't want to do that. All these other ones, okay, okay, okay. And likewise, with the idea of the continuous line, I couldn't do a dashed line because that is not a continuous line. So that would not be okay. And then probably the last most important of the rules, although there are more of them, is that your lines have consistent spacing. So what does consistent spacing mean? Well, when I'm drawing a continuous line, what I'm looking at is the space in between each line. So if I look here, it's a short distance. If I look here, it's longer. It's a longer distance. Longer distance, here's a really short. So that's not consistent spacing. So what I'm going to have to do as I try to get consistent spacing is really start to move more slowly and to think about where I'm going to go. So if I want to draw something inside, let's say it is a heart. A lot of people like to do that. This is not consistent spacing. However, I can make it consistent spacing. So I can come back and continue to fill in larger spaces. So if you are a person that really likes to make meaning or draw or doodle recognizable objects, you're still going to be able to do this. Now I'm kind of putting myself in a tough spot because it is possible I wouldn't be able to get out of here without touching or going over or starting a new line. So if I do something like this where I make a larger object and I go fill it in, then I want to make sure I'm always providing myself with an exit. So this is, once you do your practice, it does become a little bit difficult to think about how you're going to fill the space. Another point I want to make, I don't want to get myself trapped. So if I were to get really close to the paper, either I'm going to fill all this up and then finish over here, or I'm going to always provide an out for myself. So let's say I want to do a spiral. That would totally be doable. And I'm going to fill it up with lines that have pretty consistent, fairly consistent spacing. Oh no, I almost touched another line over there. that just means I probably need to slow down. So if I make a larger object, then I'm going to go back and fill in with lines that are more consistent spacing. If I find that I am going in one direction or doing the same thing for too long, then I'm going to want to change. So I do want to make my line move in an interesting way so that I'm not doing something that's predictable or always the same. And because this is about controlling your pen or pencil or whatever tool you're using, you're going to find that your hand muscles get a little tired. And that just means you're training your hand. You are in control and you are working on this slowly and carefully to fill up the whole page. So that's pretty much the demonstration I want to show you. The first thing you're going to do, like I said, is you're going to work on this small piece of paper. You're going to use a pencil just to start with so that if you make any mistakes, you can erase them. And like I said, if you make a mistake, flip it on over to the back. So one thing I do like to do as I start this practice in pencil is think about things that I really want to include. So let's say I want to include some letters or numbers or even shapes. I'm kind of thinking about that. Where would it go on the page? So notice my lines are a little bit more square, although they have some roundedness to them. They're a little bit more geometric. If I want to change styles because I want to do a little bit more of an organic line, I can do that. I just want to maintain that consistent spacing. When I don't know what to do, usually what you'll find me doing is just kind of repeating the last thing that I did. So that's a more curvy or wiggly line. It is possible to use, some people call this more of like a flame, so you can do that. You can use all these types of lines in your piece. You can use one, but the key is to use that consistent spacing to change directions in an interesting way to find a unique solution and to keep a continuous line. So that's how I get started. I'm going to do this whole paper. If you are done with this in 10 minutes, it probably means you're using too wide of spacing and you're not being careful. So that's too wide, unless I'm going to come back in and add another line to fill in. So this, at this point, is completely abstract or non-objective. It's not about any certain thing. However, if I want to write something using block letters, I can do that. So maybe I'm going to do art, or like I showed you, a